what became the Natural Gas Policy Act of 1978 began like 4 years prior to that. In a whole Congress before that, natural gas policy was the hottest, most controversial issue before the country at that time, because the Federal Power Commission had controlled prices of natural gas at a very low rate, and the rate was too low to get any production. So there were shortages on the interstate market. On the intrastate market, there was a surplus of gas because it was unregulated. And so we had these huge shortages of natural gas and dislocations. And from producing states, they wanted to deregulate immediately, and which would have been windfall profits to a lot of the producing states. So in 1977, start of that, we finally passed in the Senate the Pearson-Benson bill, which was basically deregulation. And the House passed a continuation of a regulation under the Federal Power Commission. And we went to a conference committee early on. It must have passed it in the spring. And we went to a conference committee, which was a very contentious and very detailed conference committee. And Scoop picked me to run the conference committee because it was meeting every day, and he was off dealing with the treaty with Russia on nuclear arms and various other things. And that conference committee met for about a year and a half, probably the longest conference committee, certainly that in my years in the Congress, the longest I'd ever met, and the most controversial. I mean, there were 3 networks, television networks, and they would all 3 be there day after day watching what was going to happen. And we finally, and of course, Scoop was very closely in touch with me as to where we were going. We ended up with the single most successful bill in terms of how it turned out that I had anything to do with, because what it did is it deregulated natural gas over a period of 7 years in increments, and at the end of the 7 years, the supply had, as a matter of fact, there was a surplus of natural gas. Prices actually went down on January the 1st, 1985, when deregulation came in. There was a lot of gas at lower prices, which is exactly what we hoped would happen. And it was sort of this practicality of approach that took a long time to arrive at, which was sort of typical of the direction that Scoop would have the committee go. And it was just a great privilege to work with him on that bill and other bills.